Started with us arguing about something small, like I said her credit card spending is getting too much. She spends significantly more than me, and I was getting anxious over our finances. She claims that she orders all the groceries and I'm blaming it on her. I said that still doesn't make sense and made a dumb joke about guys can't even vent anymore. She said it was sexist, and I said I didn't mean it in sincerity and it was a silly comment. I could see she didn't like it and I felt bad. Then I said, please chill out, you're being crazy. And it ended with her saying, don't call me crazy. Don't ever call me crazy. And I was heated at this point, so I said, please simmer down. You're being insane. Which led her to scream at me to leave the house and I will punch you if you make a sexist joke ever again. So I retorted back, okay, so threaten to hit me and amp, kick me out, F-cack you. I was angry in the moment, lost control, and saying F you obviously was a poor de-escalation tactic. She then yelled, take your stupid ring, we're over. Threw the ring full speed into the living room, not at me by the way, and smashed her door shut. We've had some bad arguments, and she at times has said things like that, I'm gonna leave you. I don't even know why I'm marrying you. You're in butt, when she really gets angry, and we're very much still together despite those words. I'm no saint and I feel shitty, but I truly believe she gets absolutely terrifying when she's angry. It's a tough situation. I don't know what can help us with these heated arguments, but in this instance, am I the idiot? Thanks for reading this all the way through. Now, for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. So, hear me out one. You made a comment about her spending, so she explained it to you. A-hole meter. Everyone is fine too. This explanation didn't make sense to you, so you made a remark about how guys can't even vent anymore. A-hole meter. That's pretty sexist to say I agree, and not the time to make jokes. You said that her spending was making you anxious, so she approached the conversation seriously. You should have the decency to do the same, 3. You tell her, please chill out, you're being crazy. A-hole meter. It is not crazy to care about a serious conversation like this. It's insulting for you to say something like this while she's communicating her feelings to you. Unacceptable behavior, really. 4. She flips out and communicates loudly and clearly to not ever call her that, and you immediately do it. A-hole meter. She clearly established that you said something hurtful and to not do it again. So not only did you immediately do it again, you used a more severe word for it, crazy to insane. You just showed her that not only do you not care that you hurt her, not only are you aware of the fact that you're hurting her, but in fact that you are doing so deliberately. 5. She's now past mad and is threatening violence, unacceptable behavior, and now she is on my a-hole meter. There is no reason to ever threaten violence. That being said, she told you to leave and you should have. If you both live there, that would have been the time for one of you to go upstairs, downstairs, somehow be in a separate area. A-hole meter. Everyone sucks here and bad 6, she's clearly very pissed off. So you say if you to her. Not only are you being an a-hole at this point, you're also being like, stupid a-hole meter. Just off the charts for you, buddy, you really behaved like an a-hole 7. She threw the ring and broke up with you. We're over. It couldn't be any more clear that your engagement is off, and rightfully so. The relationship seems extremely toxic on both ends. That being said, this entire conflict is mostly your fault. You did in fact behave like an a-hole, and I would have thrown the ring way sooner than she did, that's for sure. Comment 2. Poor de-escalation tactics. You literally escalated with every paragraph. I don't know if she's crazy, but if you are wanting a serious discussion about finances and her spending, the statement shows you what she spent it on and what you spent money on, and sitting down and discussing the options like 2 grown adults is the normal route. She may not like hearing it, but that much you should expect if you have any common sense at all. If it is all on groceries, then you can discuss what groceries she is buying and that it's making you a bit anxious, etc. But telling someone who thinks she explained the spending that it makes no sense is not de-escalating. You have the statements to prove what she is spending on. Either you are right or you are wrong. It's literally basic math. Comment 3. You deliberately poked the bear. She should be able to better control her reactions, but you meant to pee $1 her off. Your attitude was gaslighting. You wanted to talk about her spending. She tried to tell you what she is spending money on, in part groceries for the 2 of you, and you got annoyed at that and made a joke. It wasn't a joke about not being able to vent. You weren't venting, you were accusing her of spending too much money and saying her buying groceries doesn't count. She gets mad at a joke that was not funny and was sexist, and you called her crazy, which is gaslighting. She got madder at being accused of being crazy, and you doubled down and called her insane. She went nuclear. You're the idiot. Now for the update. I thought things would get better. I realized I was wrong. We tried to patch things up. I even took on some extra shifts at work to help with the expenses. I wanted to show her that I was committed to making things right. I really believed we could work it out. I was wrong. One evening, after a particularly grueling day, I came home to find her packing her bags. She was leaving, she said. It wasn't because of the money, it was because she couldn't bear the constant fighting anymore. It broke my heart. I didn't know what to say, what to do. I begged her to stay. I told her we could go to counseling, we could work things out, but she was adamant. She didn't want the constant arguing, the tension. She wanted peace. She left me that night, taking her belongings and leaving the apartment empty. I thought I would feel free, but instead I just felt hollow. I didn't even realize how much of my life revolved around her until she was gone. A week later, I found out she had maxed out our joint credit card again. Not for shopping this time, but to pay for a one-way plane ticket to her family's place on the other side of the country. It felt like a slap in the face, especially after all the effort I'd put in to try and fix our financial situation. Then the debt collectors started calling. I couldn't handle it. I fell into a deep depression. I lost my job because I couldn't find the strength to get out of bed in the morning. The apartment feels so empty without her. I've been forced to sell most of my stuff just to cover the rent and bills. I'm heartbroken, broke, and alone. I've lost my job, my partner, and I'm on the verge of losing my home. I have no idea how to pick up the pieces of my life and move forward. I never thought our issues would lead to this. I suppose this is the end of our story. It's not the ending I wanted or the one I worked for, but it's the one I have. For anyone reading this, please learn from my mistakes. Communication is key. Now, for the comments. 1. Not the idiot. You tried to make things work and even suggested counseling. It's not your fault that they decided to leave. And maxing out the joint card without discussing it with you? That's a huge breach of trust and completely unfair to you. 2. Not the idiot. It's unfortunate to see how your partner left you to deal with the financial aftermath of their decision. They could have handled their departure in a more responsible way. Depression is tough, but remember, it's okay to seek help. 3. Not the idiot. It seems like you've been through a lot. You tried to salvage the relationship and they left without considering your financial well-being. It's tough, but learning from this experience will only make you stronger. Always prioritize communication, as you've advised. Now, for the next story, am I the idiot for being upset at this? He literally spent all that money on clothes and had money left over, but had the nerve to act cheap and couldn't cover the small things. I voluntarily covered breakfast that day and other expenses, which was okay. But am I wrong for feeling like this? Also, while we were shopping, there was a hat that I want, but I would have never asked him for it because he would have said no. I never ask him for anything, so maybe that's why I'm upset he asked me to cover dinner. IDK. I just got turned off that he was willing to spend so much on clothes but couldn't even afford his basic priorities. I'm a 26-year-old female and he's a 26-year-old male. We both make around the same amount. Now, for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. Not the idiot, but he is. These people will take advantage more and more if you don't put your foot down. I just ended a relationship after way too many years of letting someone treat me like this. Always saying they pay for everything when in fact you're the one covering all their bills and essentials. I basically decided that I had enough. I have a child and the child is starting to be more responsible than him, so I told him I'm not looking after a child that isn't mine for the rest of my life and that we were finished. I feel that if I had put a stop to this in the beginning of the relationship and made him see the proper cost of things and made him take responsibility, that it might not have come to this. He is no good for you, and life is too short to be someone else's doormat. Comment 2. Sis, he did not make you do anything. If you do not establish clear boundaries, he will continue to take advantage of you, and you will continue to be upset. If he wants to spend all his money on non-essentials, that's on him. Stop covering for him, and he will figure out how to manage. If you don't, stop complaining and fork over your hard-earned cash. Comment 3. Not the idiot I would be like, let's go get a refund so you can afford to get yourself some dinner or go hungry. Jackie Ina said that there is no point in getting a $2,000 bag if you don't have $2,000 to put it in. It makes him uncool and a child wasteman. Don't be with someone who doesn't know your worth. Now, for the update. So, it's been a month and things have just spiraled more into madness. My partner has now taken to buying high-end makeup almost every week. They come home with bags filled with luxury brands and spend hours locked in the bathroom trying out different looks. I'm talking brands like Charlotte Tilbury, NARS, Hourglass, the works. And here I am, barely able to afford my basic skincare routine. And it's not just about the money anymore. They've started ignoring our basic responsibilities too. The rent was due last week, and guess who had to cover their half? You guessed it, me. And when I confronted them about it, they just shrugged and said they'd pay me back once they get their paycheck. It's almost like they've forgotten that we both earn pretty much the same amount and that I can't cover for their reckless spending all the time. But what really takes the cake is that they actually had the audacity to ask me why I didn't buy that hat I wanted a month ago. Like, seriously? They spend hundreds on pointless extravagances, then turn around and question me about a hat that I didn't buy because I was too busy worrying about our financial stability. And to throw fuel on the fire, they've now started buying expensive clothes for our dog, too. I mean, don't get me wrong, I love our fur baby to bits, but $200 for a tiny dog sweater? It's just insane. I do try to talk about our spending habits, hoping we could figure out a budget or something, but they just wave me off, saying they're tired of having the money talk. It's gotten to the point where I'm not even mad anymore, just disappointed and frustrated. It's like living with a financially irresponsible teenager who, unfortunately, has access to an adult's salary. I've tried to be understanding, supportive, but it's getting really difficult. Their priorities are just completely skewed, and I'm not sure how much more of this I can handle. Now for the comments, not the idiot. It's not unreasonable to expect your partner to contribute to household expenses and to be considerate about how their spending habits might impact the relationship. It's important to have a serious discussion about finances, and if they continue to dismiss your concerns, it might be time to reconsider the relationship. Not the idiot, but you may want to consider seeking professional help. A financial advisor or a couples counselor could help mediate the situation and provide a neutral perspective. It's clear your partner has some unhealthy attitudes towards money, and professional intervention could be beneficial. Everyone sucks here. While your partner is definitely in the wrong for their reckless spending and lack of responsibility, you're enabling their behavior by continuing to cover their expenses. You need to set boundaries and stick to them, or this cycle will just continue. Now, for the next story. My wife and I went out on a date last night. Our new babysitter arrived at 6:30 and left when we got home at 9:45. We paid her for 3.5 hours. She is saying that we owe her more money because when we hired her, we told her we were expecting to be out until about 11. She never mentioned anything about a minimum of hours. She's now claiming she does 4-hour minimums. Nor have I heard of babysitters asking to be paid for more hours than they work. Am I the idiot? Should we pay her more? Update. Thanks, everyone. We will pay her. To be clear, I never told her we weren't going to pay the remainder. She wrote me this morning bringing all of this up, and I wanted to come here to get your input before getting back to her. Now, for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. I think you should pay her what she expected to be paid, from $630. 11. Because you agreed on that time slot, she set that time aside to be working for you. So she's out a few bucks from what was agreed on in negotiations. Some people are flexible and will be okay with, oh, you're home early, don't worry about the extra time. But really, she should have a contract with stipulations like, the time slot will be agreed on before the sitting, to be paid in full based on the agreed time, maybe a 24H cancellation requirement, last-minute cancellations will still be paid, what I do as a private teacher, Overtime will be counted by half-hour increments. Stuff like that. Babysitter is doing a job and should be treated professionally, even if it's a high school kid. If you agreed on a job, pay for the job. If both parties are willing to negotiate, great. But you're paying for a service you agreed on. Comment 2. New babysitter arrived at 6:30 and left when we got home at 9:45. We paid her for 3.5 hours. When we hired her, we told her we expecting to be out until about 11. She never mentioned anything about minimum hours. She's now claiming she does 4-hour minimums. So, to be clear, you did say you expected to be out till 11. Also, to be clear, this is a new sitter, so this is the first time you've hired her? Now you know, pay her the extra $10 like an adult, and if you never want to use her services again, don't. You're the idiot for arguing over $10 for someone who literally has your children's lives in their hands. Grow up. Comment 3. You're the idiot. Just as a heads up, most parents pay to the nearest hour. I just go ahead and pay her the extra half hour. And in the future, try to be more accurate with what time you're going to be home at. If your boss scheduled you to work a certain number of hours, would you be okay with them suddenly cutting your hours? This is also a really bad foot to get off with a new babysitter. It shows her that you're not the most reliable. Now, for the update, well, you won't believe what happened next. So we paid her the extra money, right? Figured that was the end of it. We'd find another babysitter next time and move on. Not so simple, my friends. 2 days after that night, I get a call from an unknown number. Thinking it was a spam call, I ignored it. They left a voicemail. It was the babysitter's mom. She was going off on me, claiming her daughter had been shortchanged. Turns out the babysitter told her we'd agreed to a 6-hour minimum, not 4, and she believed we had scammed her daughter. I was flabbergasted. I called her back, explained the situation. She seemed to understand and apologized. I thought that was it. Nope, another curveball headed my way. 2 days later, we get a letter in the mail, a small claims court summons. The babysitter was trying to sue us for unpaid wages and emotional distress. She was asking for $1,000. Emotional distress? Over an hour and 15 minutes of babysitting? I was speechless. My spouse was furious. We lawyered up immediately. Luckily, a friend of ours is a lawyer and agreed to help us pro bono. He said it's likely the judge would just laugh this out of court. We were relieved, but the drama was far from over. A week before the court date, we wake up to find our front yard trashed. Toilet paper everywhere, eggs on our windows, and "pay up" written in spray paint on our driveway. We had no proof it was the babysitter, but who else could it be? We filed a police report and showed the officers the court summons. They agreed it seemed too coincidental. Finally, the court date came. We explained the situation to the judge, showed him the police report, the harassing voicemail from the babysitter's mom, and our phone records showing we called to discuss the misunderstanding. The judge looked at the babysitter and asked her if she had anything to say. She broke down in tears. Confessed she made the whole thing up. She said she was really sorry. Her friends had put her up to it as a way to make some easy money. She admitted to the yard vandalism, too. The judge dismissed the case and ordered her to pay us for the damages. So, there you have it. What started off as a simple babysitting gig turned into a full-blown neighborhood drama. We're just glad it's over. Next time, we'll be a lot more careful when hiring a babysitter. Now, for the comments. 1. Not the idiot. This is quite a tough situation to be in. You had a fair agreement with the babysitter, and there's no justification for her actions, especially the vandalism. She took advantage of your trust and caused unnecessary distress. It's good that you stood your ground and didn't give in to false accusations. 2. Not the idiot. The babysitter and her mother seem to have a misunderstanding about the amount agreed upon. Instead of approaching you directly to resolve it, they chose a confrontational route. The babysitter confessing in court shows that you were falsely accused. However, this experience should serve as a lesson for you to have future agreements in writing to avoid such disputes. 3. Not the idiot. The babysitter's confession in court and the judge's decision are clear indications that you were not in the wrong. However, it might be beneficial to get a background check done or ask for references when hiring a babysitter in the future. This could help prevent such incidents and ensure your family's safety. If you liked this video, you'll probably like these too. Also, while you're here, please consider subscribing. It's your support that keeps this channel alive and allows me to make better and longer videos. Have a great day.